coordinatrice jeunesse bilingue de Waterlution, so the youth programs coordinator for Waterlution. And I am also a visual artist, so I'm here to speak to you today about illustrations and art as a means to tell a story or to accompany a story. Here are two of my paintings. I paint in a realistic way and I illustrate things that I live through. Usually I work from observation. So these two have been done from observation in a room that I was painting for a long time. They both could be stories in themselves. They're not accompanying any other text. I want them to be a little bit mysterious, but that have enough elements to keep us going forward in the image. So here I painted this corner of the room after a long time with the view of the rest of the convent. So I chose this kind of composition so that it could be only one image and it would show us many things at once. So here we have the inside of a room, which is kind of the main subject. It's what's happening in this room that's empty and kind of what's the story of this room. We can see that someone is coming or going, we're not sure, and bringing furniture with them. So it could be to come and install themselves, it could be because they're going away. And this is the subject of the painting, is we're not sure what time is doing for us and what the person is doing. But then the fact that I chose to include the windows tells us where that room is. It's in this enormous convent that is, as we can see here, very, very little, but it's by the river. So it's very small elements, it's different things, and it tells us more than if I had just done, let's say, a person and a chair moving and none of the setting, or just a setting without a person or without the view. So it's choosing to include things in order to tell things by themselves as much as we want. Here, this other painting is in the same room, and I wanted to showcase this incredible piece of furniture, but have here a duality between different characters. We have, of course, the human that is moving around and opening things as if it was a new presence coming in and bringing life or looking for things as if it's disruptive a little bit. And then we have the seagull that is hiding in a cupboard. We don't know if they know each other, if they know that they're there. But they are the two elements that make us think, is it her story or his? Because he's the only one whose face we can see, even though he's small and a bird. But it could be about him being disrupted by the human, or it could be about the human discovering the seagull. It's this kind of mysterious thing, we're not sure. And then in the corner, we have a little cross, which was there in the room because of the fact it was a convent. And the cross becomes another character in the story. It tells us something about the room. And then it makes us think maybe they relate to each other, the cross and the seagull, or the cross and the person. Or maybe they really have no idea that the cross is there, or they don't care about it. Like, having elements like that makes us question what the story is in a way that's very interesting. Here on the easel, the light is making it hard to see, but we have a man. It's in progress. You can see I haven't painted the whole bottom area of the painting, but it's a portrait of a man reading in his backyard, looking up. So again, this could be an illustration from a story where the main character would be this person. Here's a dog that I haven't done yet, but we can create, we don't need to have a painting that is only a person, even if we're doing a portrait. It can represent more about the person if we're putting it in a setting that says something about the story. Like this is the natural setting. Maybe if we're doing a story about a water body, the water body can be the main element, and then we include the figure smaller. And as to the process of painting, I paint in a very classical way, but I will start in a very kind of aquatic way, watercolor style. So the whole bottom layer of this painting is simply water and some pigments, some inks, to create a pattern that will be abstract. And then from the pattern, I will build a scene on top of it that will have a more organic feeling than if I had just copied a photo from the start. And here we can see just one splash. And I will paint a scene on top of this that will probably be realistic in the end, but this just helps when we're also wanting to have something that feels natural, but we need a photo reference to feel confident. Then it's a good way to start, to not just do squares or measure everything. So let's see about painting itself. There are many different mediums that we can use. As I mentioned here, I am using ink, such as this, to do my first layer, and I just mix it with water. And then I will go directly with oils. I'm an oil painter, so I'm very passionate about using oils rather than acrylics, although acrylics are easier to use and to clean and cheaper. So if you're starting out, it's your first painting, you can for sure try it with acrylics. It's going to be less of a headache. But if you feel confident about wanting to use oils, then I would recommend using a palette of colors that is not extremely large. So you can use, of course, always white with a blue, and then go for the main colors, a red, and then a yellow, as we have on the palette here. Here I have a lot of other ones, but just with these colors, you can do a lot, especially with, here I have a lighter blue, but try a darker blue, and you can do so much with only those. And if you want to start doing an image for a story that you already have, there are many ways that you can think of illustrating it. So you can, of course, think about your character if you want to do something that will give us an image of how your character looks like. If you would rather leave that to the readers to imagine how the character is, then you can do something about the setting. You can explain visually what the water looks like, what the hills you were thinking of, the house that you were describing, exactly what's in your mind, just put it out there. You don't have to put all the elements of your story into your painting, so you don't, if your story starts with a dog that runs in a field and goes into a house where there is a hot dog that he eats, and then he gets petted by a friend, and then they go to a water body, you don't need to put all these elements in a picture. It's going to be overwhelming, and if you only have to do one, it's not like a comic strip. You really have to think of a major element that you'll look at and will feel like the story. So for that little story, let's say, so a dog eating, having a friend, running around. It can be about, I think, kind of a big setting of, let's say there's a field and then there's water in the distance. And maybe there's a house, it doesn't need to be there, but there would be a dog because it's the main element. Or we could have something that tells us there's a dog, like a dog, let's say some bones or some things that the dog likes, or balls and things. And it just has the setting that feels like the story. You can be really creative with the way that you represent things. It doesn't have to be just one medium and just elements that are very clearly defined. So I would encourage you to just have fun, play around, try maybe small sketches of different things to see which one is the most attractive before starting on a painting or starting something more ambitious, and just explore, and I think you'll do something wonderful in the end.